Hello, good morning. This is Mr. Nico Lorenz Pilausin, the course instructor of this subject, Teaching Strategies in Science for Elementary Grades. And today I will be discussing the content of the module number 5, which talks about the lesson planning. So for the lesson objectives, at the end of this lesson, the students are expected to 1. Be familiar with the parts of the conventional lesson plan in a 7 E's format and online teaching lesson plan in 5 A's format. Number 2. Create each lesson plan following the above mentioned formats. Number 3. Develop skills in writing lesson objectives and in selecting appropriate teaching strategies and methodologies. Number 4. Develop creativity in designing instructional materials and assessment tools. And number 5, utilize the created lesson plan for conventional teaching or online teaching. Okay, let's start the discussion. So lesson plan is the primary instructional material that a teacher prepares as a skeleton, a framework, or a flow of the teaching and learning process, meaning it serves as the guide of a teacher during the teaching and learning process. Number 2, a typical lesson plan contains the lesson objectives, materials and resources to be used, learning procedure, activities to be done, assessment to be used by the teacher, and assignment. So in this module, you will be exposed to the two different formats of the lesson plan, the 7 E's and the 5 A's. So the 7 E's, that is the one that we use in conventional teaching, while the 5 A's is the one that we use for online teaching. Now, in science lesson plan, the conventional format is 7 E's. This format has sequential steps which stand for elicit, engage, explore, explain, elaborate, evaluate, and extend. So in elicit stage, it is done by reviewing the previous lessons or asking students about the new lesson. So by reviewing, you will be able to recall their background knowledge, or asking students about the new lesson, you are recalling also their previous knowledge, but you are trying now to relate those previous knowledge to your present lesson. For engage stage, it is done by establishing a purpose for the lesson. There is a time that you mention your objective, you are collecting their attention so that you can present examples or instances of the new lessons. In explore stage, it is done by discussing new concepts or practicing new skills. So later, I will give some examples how to do the following stages in a lesson plan. Explain stage, it is done by developing mastery towards the subject matter or the skills to be developed. So mastery or skills refinement. Elaborate stage, it is done by finding practical applications of the concepts. So you are now trying it to relate to real life situations, or you will try to make generalizations or abstractions conclusion about the lesson, or by just summarizing the lesson. In evaluate stage, it is done by evaluating the learning, which includes concept attainment, skills mastery, and change of behavior. In extend stage, it is done by providing additional activities for application or remediation. This is the time that we give assignment to our students as for the extension of learning. Now, modes of instructional delivery are also affected as technology advances. Several tools and platforms are used to deliver lessons. We have Zoom, Google Meet, and FB Room. These are the most common platform that the teacher uses in the teaching or in their instructional delivery. Now, as a response to this technological advancement, a 5A's lesson plan format is suggested in order to adapt to this learning modality or teaching modality. A 5A's format stands for alert, ask, assimilate, assess, and advance. So like the instruction there, in alert, the teacher reviews the student's background knowledge, like the elicit stage. Number two, the ask stage. The teacher gives essential questions to ponder throughout the lesson. So they are giving questions that will direct to the topic. Number three, assimilate stage. The class discusses the content of the lesson, and this is the stage where the students are given an opportunity to absorb or take in the information. So the teacher here can now use the essential question raised in the ask stage or raised cited earlier, or any question that may lead to the development of the concept. Later I will provide a sample comparing the 7E's and 5A's. In assess stage, the teacher provides instruction for assessment. In advanced stage, the teacher assigns instructions for homework. So now, let's start first with writing your objectives, because in the part of lesson plan objective or lesson objectives come first. So in writing lesson objectives, there are three domains that are usually considered, and it can be represented as the CPA model, or otherwise known as cognitive, psychomotor, and affective domains, while the KSA model, or otherwise known as the knowledge, skills, attitude, and domain. So for cognitive, it measures knowledge; psychomotor, it measures the skills; affective, it measures the attitude and behavior. So lesson objectives are very important to establish carefully be, to establish carefully, because it serves as the major directions of the entire teaching and learning process. Such as, for example, the teacher it helps the teacher to identify or determine which or what teaching strategies can be used in delivering the lesson. So, in the selection of teaching strategy, you have to align your strategy to your objective. Number two, it helps the teacher to identify what instructional materials and educational technology tools that can be used or infused in the teaching and learning of the lessons. So also you have to align your instructional material to your teaching strategy, and your teaching strategy is aligned to your objective. So now you see the sequence: the objective, teaching strategy, the instructional material. Also, it serves as a guide for the teacher in designing formative and or summative assessment. So the teacher needs to align their assessment to the objectives to check if the objective has been met or have been met after the instructions. Now, this is just a sample of the objectives. So, following the CPA or CAP or KSA models, an educator must be familiar with the Bloom's taxonomy of student learning. So, this table contains the levels or categories in Bloom's taxonomy, their example, and commonly used terms or keywords, and the technologies that can be used. So for remembering, this is the lowest level. These are the example. Recite a policy, quote prices from a memory to a customer, recite safety rules. So these are the common keywords. So in the module, you can use it as your guide if your objective is to remember. So these are the common keywords and the common technology, bookmarking, flashcards, rote learning based on repetition, reading. Second stage, understanding. These are the examples and these are the keywords. So if your keywords you would like to develop understanding, these are the common words that you can use. These are the example and these are the technology that you can use. Now for application or applying, by the way, for the Bloom's taxonomy, the ing form is the revised version of the Bloom's taxonomy. So remembering, understanding, applying. So these are the common keywords that you can observe or that you can use in creating your lesson objectives. These are the examples and these are the technology. Collaborative learning, create a process blog, create a process, a blog, or practice. Analyzing. You have, these are the following keywords that you can use in designing your lesson objectives. And these are the example. Troubleshoot a piece of equipment by using logical deduction. So it requires analysis. Recognize logical fallacies in reasoning. So that's the time that you analyze which among the statement or argument is fallacious. For evaluating, these are the examples and these are the common keywords that we use as teachers in creating our lesson objectives. And these are the technology that you can use to survey, blogging. Now, for creating the highest level in Bloom's taxonomy, so these are the keywords that you can use in writing your objectives. And these are the example. Write a company operation or process manual. So that's the time that your students create their own version. Design a machine to perform a specific task. Integrates training from several sources to solve a problem. Revises and process to improve the outcome. Those are the common creating objectives. Now the second one is allocating teaching resources. So it is under learning resources, which might include instructional materials and your reference. So in lesson planning, the two primary teachers' resources are the instructional materials, like what I have said, and the reference, where the references where the lessons were based and or collected. So it is very significant because teachers' creativity, resourcefulness, and talents may be challenged in this section. So these are the guidelines for selections of your instructional material. So instructional materials can be divided into two. We have traditional visual aids and digital visual aids. Now, use white cartolina or manila paper as a main visual aid. Why? Do not use instructional material that is colorful because you might encounter students with color blindness. And sometimes uh, we have to consider that because students with color blindness might have difficulty in reading text when they are written in or on cartolina that is too colorful. Number two, make sure that the visual aids are readable even if at the end corner of the classroom. So it is advised that you write your visual aid in large scale. Number three, if you wish to have additional designs for your visual aid, such as borders, you may do it. Just make sure that you will not interfere with the text of your visual aids. With the text of your visual aids. B. Digital visual aids. So this time, if you are using presentation applications such as MS PowerPoint, you are advised to consider the following guidelines. First, the smallest font size is 32. Choose readable and appropriate font style. So, in my presentation, I am always using Baskerville and Times New Roman, or sometimes I use Bookman Old Style. So, as long as it's readable and appropriate. Number two, there should only have 6 lines at maximum of text in each presentation slide. It is highly recommended to use more pictures than text in explaining your lessons, since the primary goal of the visual aid, of course, is to help you to to explain the content visually. So your role as teacher is to explain the content as detailed as possible. Now, number three, in selecting pictures online, make sure that the pictures were collected from reliable sources. In terms of its quality, make sure that the picture is clear, even if you modify its sizes. Some pictures lose their quality when they are stretched and they appear blurred. Number five, for resources such as books, pictures, videos, and text, do not forget to cite the link where you obtain or you get the information. Now, for the guidelines of resources, updated references or resources must be considered by the teachers as knowledge and information develop, progress from time to time. Diba? Because we have to consider the timeliness of our information or the content that we are teaching. The most advisable references in science must be 3 years away only from the present year. So today is 2020. So your reference must only be from 2017 to 2020. Why? Because science in the recent years it progressed very rapid. So we have to consider that. There are a lot there are a lot of changes introduced by science. Number two, in selecting online resources, make sure that the website or link is reliable and reputable. Same principle shall be applied in previous guidance number 5 here, wherein you have to cite your information. Now, so I will just cut here. I will be preparing the second video instead because the videos that I am only allowed to upload is up to 20 minutes. So see you on the part 2 of this video. Thank you very much.